The community of Buffalo, New York is mourning at least 10 people shot and killed Saturday at this grocery store.
It will be prosecuted as a hate crime.
Investigators say an 18-year-old gunman had an evil goal
of taking as many black lives as he possibly could.
Yes, sir. I understand my charges.
The shooter traveled several hundred miles from home and posted a manifesto online before the shooting. He called himself a white supremacist and referenced other racial attacks.
Sharing his information, his ideas, his hatred online. That's what scares me, is how far this virus is now spreading and how quickly.
And it just seems to be escalating.
Professor Randall Blazek is chair of Oregon's Coalition Against Hate and studies extremist ideology.
And it's really frightening how we've seen the normalization of some of the rhetoric that drives white supremacist violence.
They will deny jobs to people who have the wrong skin color.
A repeated narrative of being pushed out,
making white people feel like somehow the world is out to get them,
leading some to react in violence.
A sick, demented individual who has fueled a daily diet of hate.
And they believe that if they don't act now, that their country is going to go away. So there's this sort of ticking time bomb element to it.
A report from March about domestic terrorism and extremist attacks showed Oregon ranked the 6th highest in the nation for incidents between 2011 and 2020, making up 10% of all attacks in 2020 alone, despite Oregon ranking 27th in population. The state's audits director and the former U.S. attorney for Oregon both explained the problem.
We are one of only 16 states that do not have specific legislation criminalizing domestic terrorism.
People need to be held accountable, and if they know they're not going to be, well, we see what the result is.
Oregon has a history of extremism, from the Rajneesh poisoning of an entire county,
our purpose,
to the armed militia takeover at the Malheur Wildlife Refuge, and even more recent attacks on Portland's downtown Justice Center by the far left and attacks on Oregon's Capitol by the far right.
Break it in, mother.
They see themselves as good people.
Blazek tracks extremists online and has a $750,000 grant for an anti-violence program called Cure PDX.
Violence can spread from person to person, so if we can find places to interrupt that spread by having people within communities to kind of know who's the most contagious.
The program aims to reach potential offenders and avoid racist attacks, like in Buffalo.
I think people of color all over America today are having another reminder that there are people who want to kill them just for existing in their skin.
What is your message for people in the community, kind of feeling this hopelessness, feeling this trauma?
What we're trying to do is help people to be more empathetic.
Galen Etlin, KGW News.
Another shooting unfolding today in Orange County, California. A gunman entered a church there and shot 6 people. At least one of the victims has died. Police say the majority of people inside that building at the time are Taiwanese, and the shooter was of Asian descent and in their 60s. While they were quick to release some information, there are still a lot of unknowns.
Investigators are working to determine his city of residence and whether he has any connection to this church or to the congregation. At this time, we do not know what the suspect's motive may be, or whether he had an intended target, or whether this is even a hate-related incident.
Police believe members of the congregation actually detained the shooter and hog-tied his legs with an extension cord before they confiscated his weapons. They say he was already detained when deputies got there.